guys, welcome to the Everett Silver Show. We have exciting guests as we do every week, and so I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm always bringing it to you, so thanks so much for staying in tune with us. Stay connected. You're watching the Everett Silver Show.
Hi, Everett.
Hi, good morning.
Caron, Justin, thank you so much for doing the show, man. Pleasure to have you both.
Thanks for having us.
Well, folks, Caron, we know NBA All-Star Caron Butler, also acclaimed author Justin A. Reynolds is here with us. Introduced the first book in the new middle grade series, and so we got to talk about it because I tell you guys, and Caron, I start with you, man. Just I know a little bit about it, but that shot clock and just what you guys are, the story that's in there, the storyline that's in there is definitely relevant to today. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we talk about our realities and what's real. The first thing that we try to do as coaches is define reality so we can pivot in the right direction to really move the needle in the process. And shot clock is about that. It's the realities of, people. It's the reality of specifically young people and what they go through, the adversities that they have to struggle with, and things that's happening in communities that a lot of people are not talking about. So we formed a basketball team that, started traveling the world in the midst of all these realities that they was dealing with, the subtraction of lives being taken away in the community. Young people rallied around something larger than themselves while being exposed to, different environments and different cities while they was traveling with this basketball team. But also they became the now and the future ancestors where they said, you know what, we want to bring our community together. We want to shine light on what's happening in the world. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why we felt like we had to put this in young readers' hands, because this is them. This is a reflection of what's happening right now in society.
Justin, you're an acclaimed author, man. We were just talking about, I heard Caron just talk about the story that we have to sometimes put out there. What better way to do it than in a book?
Yeah, we felt like, growing up, Caron and I have had a lot of conversations about the books that we had at our disposal growing up, and how, even as great as some of them were, we find that there seems to be a disconnect between those books and our present reality and what people are going through right now. And so we wanted to write a book that was authentic and relatable. We recognize that a lot of times people try to say that young people don't like to read, but we find that to be a flawed idea. We like to say that it's not a matter of not liking to read; it's a matter of not having the right book in the right hands. And so we feel like if we can get the right stories, the right messaging into these kids' hands, into young people's hands, we know that we can make readers out of them, and also not just readers, but people who have a passion for reading and for learning and for growing. And so we're really excited about Shot Clock. And as we put it physically into people's hands, into young people's hands, and to see their eyes light up as they recognize themselves on the cover or as they flip through the pages and identify with the characters, it's all, this is exactly what it's about. It's about that feeling, about knowing that we're moving the needle within our communities.
And then, Caron, how many times have we seen this, man, this story where sometimes, man, we have to live out somebody else's dreams because their life is cut short, whether it's from a family or just a friend, as we're going to learn in this book what Tony had to do.
Yeah, I'm a living testament of that. I'm a product of, some people that fell short ahead of me, not losing their lives, but fell short in believing in their dreams. But they didn't place their fears on me. They didn't place their temporary fears on me. They actually empowered me to be a better version of myself. And I think that we all are going through some capacity of that. If you're a dreamer, you have some of these hurdles and these obstacles you have to overcome. And Shot Clock is the book for you. It's a lot that you could take away from it. And then as an adult and as people that's mentors to, young people, it's something that you can take away from it too, from our observation and how we tell the story, is that people don't understand how important mentorship is, especially now.
Right. That's right.
A lot of things that you see visually can be misleading, but you need mentors right now in communities.
And Justin, I got to ask you this, man. The name Shot Clock, where it come from?
Yeah, obviously it's related to the game itself, but we were more worried about focused on the game of life and how, the truth of the matter is that we don't know how much time we have. And so we're talking about using the time that we have in front of us right now, not tomorrow, not next week, but using the time that we have right now in real time to be great, not just for ourselves, but to be great for our community, for the people around us, because we definitely avail ourselves of that creed that a rising tide lifts all ships. And so we want to make sure that we're rising together and that we're not leaving any person behind in this game of life.
Man, they couldn't have said it no better, man, because the clock is always running on us. We just don't know when that that time is. Listen, I want everybody to know, too, as well. If you don't know, Shot Clock became available everywhere books are sold September 6th, so you can make sure you can cop it. And what a privilege to ask. I give you guys last 2 minutes things to say that, Caron, I know you two-time, former NBA star, man. You played, I think you're also the assistant coach in Miami down there. But, guys, talk about one last minute thing I want to say to get people out to get the book.
Man, I think it's important that, we get out there and we inspire each other, and I think it's important, like through reading, this is something that's different. This is a space that I always wanted to get in. And if you're a believer, if you're a dreamer, Shot Clock is for you. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, we wanted to write a book that told young people that we see you, that you're not being ignored, but that you're valuable, that your voice is valuable. And we wanted to give them a space to not only be themselves, but to also grow.
Well, I got to tell you, man, Justin, man, nobody said it yet, man. That second novel, Early Departures, was something big, man. I remember reading that, man. But what a pleasure to have Caron, NBA All-Star, Caron Butler, man, and also acclaimed author Justin A. Reynolds. Guys, thanks so much for doing the show. I appreciate having you both.
Thank you so much, Everett. Appreciate it.
Right. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Everett Silver Show. Stay tuned. Don't turn that dial because we got more exciting guests right here on the Everett Silver Show. Be back in a moment.
Hi, Everett.
Hey, Everett.
Shakira, Phillip, thank you so much for doing the show, man. What a pleasure to have you.
Oh,
thank you so much for having us.
Well, I got to tell you, man, everybody got to talk about Sprung. I have two of the stars. Shakira Barrera is with us, Phillip Garcia. And, man, I tell you, this is, it is just, this show is just funny to me, man. But it also brings out some real, and I guess I start with you, Phillip, man, because, just talk about what the show Sprung is. Just give us some idea what Sprung is all about. I want to give it away.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. It's centered around a group of formerly incarcerated people who get released early due to COVID-19. And then when we get out, we band together and we use our criminal expertise to do some good, but it kind of, the story kind of centers around the beginning of the pandemic. So, I mean, you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, it was kind of like, we don't know what to do. Can we touch our faces? Can we, it's like all this, these unknowns involved. But imagine being in prison for 26 years, like our main character, Jack, is played by Garrett Dillahunt. Imagine being in prison for 26 years, getting out, and then it being a global pandemic. I mean, I know it's not a funny thing, but it's funny to watch Garrett do his thing. And then, he needs a place to stay, and he stays with me, his former cellmate, and his, Shakira was actually his girlfriend in prison. So then he gets out, and then he stays with my mom. It's crazy. Craziness ensues, and it's a lot of really funny, zany moments, especially with our mastermind in Greg Garcia. I think he definitely writes, some really funny and interesting characters for sure.
Well, what's so funny is that this, the humor to it is so contagious. And talk about that, when you think in terms of Shakira, are you, well, actually, are you being sprung? No. Are you have a love interest there?
I can't give anything away. I know that Gloria was in love during prison, but does it translate on the outside? I'm not so sure. But yeah,
Right.
it's such a funny dynamic to think about talking through someone through the toilet in prison is called fishing. So fun fact, prison talk is called
You
fishing.
know, it's funny you said that. Yeah, it's funny you said that because I mean, because it just shows the show shows but how real is that though? I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was research on my end towards like what that is like, but at the end of the day, I think it was just living in the moment and being present and like just we had so much fun. It was such such a fun time on set, and honestly, the hardest thing for me was not to laugh at everyone. It's just insane.
Right. Because what you got. I mean, what as Phillip alluded to it, man. Greg has just. I mean, I guess his creative imagination, man. Just what you guys are doing, and then how you're sticking together. But just talk about it, Phillip. You guys are still creating something out of. Some of I guess your similarities being there, but actually you're trying to band together for something good, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because you pair a group of very unlikely people together and you kind of see what happens. I think that's what Greg did a good job with is that, you have Jack who's getting out of prison and he is, trying to be on the straight and narrow, right? He's trying to get out. He's like 26
Mm-hmm.
years, like screw this. He's never hurt anybody in his life, he's a good guy. So he gets out of
Right.
prison and he's like, I'm trying to be good. And then he meets up with me, who is like a career criminal. I think the reason why I was in prison is because I stole like an ice cream truck, which is so funny and
Right.
weird. But like that's what Rooster is. Rooster is he's just like kind of an idiot, and he goes into prison and jail, and he's been in and out of juvie his whole life. So then you pair those two characters up, and you see what happens, and then you meet my mom, played by Martha Plimpton. It's crazy. And Martha, like,
Yeah.
damn, just to see Martha do her thing. Ooh, I
Right.
mean, she is a pro, man. She's been in the industry a really long time, and it was a gift to see her do her work, man.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Then Shakira, last thing, I was when I watch sometimes some of the trailers and stuff, they just talk about how we forget to just appreciate little things in life. I saw, I think one of the inmates was helping you put on makeup, and he used a little Sharpie. I mean, little things like that. And then you come out, you're talking about trying to gain something in the world again. How real is that to today's life in this pandemic that we're living in?
Oh, that's such a deep question. Thanks for
It really is.
asking about that. I think it's such a moment to practice gratitude, and like this show really puts us back
Right.
into 2020 in a time where, we were losing people and things were very confusing. It still is for some
Right.
people. And I just find that you
Hmm.
can heal through watching the show. You can laugh. You're allowed to laugh at
Yep.
what happened, and I think that's the best thing about comedy. It's like, the realest moments are often the funniest, and I don't
Yep.
know if we could curse
Hmm.
here, but when shit happens, you just have to
Yeah,
take
it's fine.
the lemon and
Yeah.
make lemonade. And I think that's what Greg has done. And I think, that's what Sprung is about. And we're looking forward to seeing if we get a season 2.
Well, I got to tell you, folks, everybody, you want to make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss Sprung. It is now streaming, I believe, on Amazon. Freevee is you can do it right now, guys. So what a wonderful privilege to have Shakira Barrera with us, Phillip Garcia, and I'm telling you guys, this show is hilarious, is real, and is really contagious, guys. And so appreciate you guys doing the show today, and I'm telling you, much success to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
More guests coming your way. Don't touch that dial. I'll be back in a moment.
Morning, Everett.
Stig, and also Mandy, thank you so much for doing the show today. Pleasure to have you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, folks, we got to talk about the deadliest catch. The Vikings return. And I have the wonderful privilege of talking to Captain Sig Hansen. Also, co-captain daughter Mandy Hansen is here with us. And I tell you guys, looks like Sid. I tell you, man. After looking at the kind of the king crab fishery kind of shut down 25 years, you got set on to try to force it and look at some opportunities. Let's talk about the show.
Right. Well, it is, and you're exactly right. We got to look for opportunity, and that's one thing I've told people and told myself is like all my life, there's no guarantee when it comes to fishing. It's a great job. I wish everybody could do it at one time in their life just to get that experience. But at the end of the day, there's no guarantee. And with the king crab season being shut down in Alaska, we went back to the old country. We went back to Norway, and I heard about that crab fishing over there. And I just wanted to scratch that curiosity, scratch that itch. And that's exactly what we did, Not only that, trying to maybe build a new legacy there as well. But you gotta throw the hook out there and try. And that's what we did.
Now, Mandy, before I come to you, I got to ask Sig one more thing. I saw something that was very profound, man. I was watching some of the trailers, and something that just kind of stuck out at me. And you mentioned if Dad was here, he'd be proud. What is that moment where I'd like you to kind of carry on this legacy?
I think, well, that particular moment, I remember what you're talking about. That, I think it's because it went full circle. And, I'd heard about crab fishing there before overseas, but I think he'd have been proud to know that we brought her around full circle. I think he'd be proud to know that we didn't give up and, we didn't just quit. And I think that's the kind of mentality that I believe he instilled in me as a young man.
Absolutely. And Mandy, you decided to kind of work full time with Dad. What is that like to just be able to, kind of relieve your dad from some of the ham on the ship?
I'm thankful to be able to spend the time with my dad and be able to learn with him. One of the greatest captains out there, and it's hard at the same time, but it's what I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to prove myself to him, just like he proved himself to his dad.
I mean, because you have education under your belt, you could have done other things, license and, as an operator freighter, ocean liner. So you're kind of in your element, right?
That's right. I went to California Maritime Academy, but and I thought the bigger, the better on the boats. But I came back to fishing. I went back to my family, and there's just something about it. It's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. You never know what's going to come at you.
See, I'm always intrigued by the beauty of just the earth, man, or the world. And you guys are in some territory, though. When you start dealing with water, is there something, a void from lost season that you're trying to gather back again?
Well, how do you mean? How do you mean by that?
I mean, you're feeling that you was 25 years, had to shut down. Now you're coming back. You're a veteran at it. You feel like you're filling that void up again?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think, my first year in Alaska was 1978. Been around a while. Yeah,
wow, yeah.
Been around a while. And as a kid. And I tell you, you're filling that void. Well, when you're trying to start anew in a whole different continent, different atmosphere, different vibe, different ocean. But I think it brings it back to where, I felt like a greenhorn myself. I felt like I was starting all over. And man, I tell you, starting over is not easy. You take it for granted after a while. Like you're, in Alaska, I know that water like the back of my hand. And I was starting over for sure. So that's exciting. At the same time, boy, when you fail, it sticks. It hurts.
Right. And then Mandy, as co-captain, you got some struggles, I guess, of your own. You got your own family to look at. How's that had any bearings or effect on that to do what you enjoy doing?
Well, it's hard because I have my husband on board now and I got my baby at home. So if something happens on the boat, she's losing both parents and her grandfather and uncles. So that's the toughest part about having the family dynamic on the same boat, is if something happens, it happens to all of us.
I tell you, I'm telling you, I've watched the trailers. It is such intriguing show, and I tell you, much success to you guys. I want to let everybody know Deadliest Catch of the Viking Return, premieres tomorrow, actually, September the 13th, 9 p.m. on Discovery, and is also available to stream, I think, the same day on Discovery Plus. What a wonderful privilege to talk to Captain Sig Hansen, also co-captain daughter Mandy Hansen has been with us. Guys, thanks so much for doing the show. Pleasure having you.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, bye-bye.
More guests coming your way. Don't touch that dial. Be back in a moment.
Hi, Everett.
Nich, what a pleasure to have you in the show, man. Thanks so much for doing it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Where are you, Everett?
Well, folks, you got to get ready. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, man, in the Raleigh market, buddy. I appreciate having you in North Carolina, man.
North Kakalaki.
So, folks, you got to get ready. That's right. That's
I
what
did a video down there for Petey Pablo.
Did you? I remember Petey Pablo was big rap star.
Yep. It was like
I remember that, man.
helicopter, I think.
Right. Well, folks, you got to get ready to sail away. Hell of a cruise, I tell you. I'm speaking to Emmy Award-winning director Nich is here. We got to talk about that documentary, man, because I'm telling you, what a film, what a documentary that we got to get, that's going to impact the viewers. So let's talk about this documentary, Nich.
Well, so the film's about the Diamond Princess and the experience and the passages on the Diamond Princess, which was the first super spreader event outside of China that we had any insight into. But it goes on to detail the boats, the ships, as they continue to sail, even though even though there were people with COVID on it, the ships kept on sailing. So it details the response of the cruise industry to the pandemic, as well as the executive branch and that of the CDC.
Just talk about how the coronavirus has kind of boarded the ship as well as the others, man. And I mean, causing that to be just almost like an infested jail. The impact of that, though, I mean, you covered never before seen footage of that. Talk about what was that like?
Well, I think for the passengers, it was the fear of the unknown, and they had no idea how infectious this disease was, how it was transmitted, and so we were really like examining the psychological response of the passengers and how they dealt with an extraordinary event as ordinary people. So that's really the crux of it.
Nich, I'm sure you're appreciative of even the passenger's cell phone, man, because you got rare footage just from cell phones, right? How that much impacted the film?
I mean, that's the core of it, because we use their cell phone footage to explain their experience, and then then we use their interview to describe what they're seeing. So some of the interviews were very detailed, describe very traumatic experiences that they had. So we're very careful not to try and make this a cathartic experience for the passengers telling their story, rather than to dig up the trauma and revisit it.
And then Nich, you are, man, you're executive director, owner of Goldcrest Films. You've been doing this, man. You're building one of these documentary brands that's great in the world. What made it so that this particular documentary has been close to your heart?
Well, I think this film was important to make because it's a microcosm of our response to COVID-19 in general. So, and at the end of the Diamond Princess, we knew everything that we needed to know, according to the doctors who boarded the ship to do triage. So I think it's important that next time we face a pandemic, which is inevitable, I don't know if it's within 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, but there will be another pandemic. Next time, we should face this as a public health emergency rather than a political issue. But you know, when you mix catastrophic infectious disease outbreaks with politics, you get politics.
Right. Right. That is so. No, you couldn't made a more powerful statement than that. And then just the cruise itself, because a lot of people are afraid of cruises and knowing how to handle impacts like this. When something does break out like this, do you think the film has a good way of just saying how you can pull together and get through it?
I mean, I think it shows how the passengers did pull together. They created networks and communicated with each other. They masked and social distanced. I mean, the passengers were at the crest of the wave, let's so to speak, of the first wave. So, you know, perhaps you know their experience should be indicative for all of us when facing this type of, you know, ordinary people facing an extraordinary event. And they did an incredible job too. They were very resilient in the face of great adversity.
Well, I got to tell you, Nich, people gonna. I'm telling you, watch this documentary. It's going to be something. I've seen the trailers on it. It is something to keep you glued to the set. Hell of a Cruise, guys, is available. Streaming started today, September the 14th on Peacock. You can stream it right now. And so, Nich, any last minute things you want to say, man? I want to say, because what your work has done, and even, you know, I don't know, I hope I'm not offending you by saying this, but your work have even gotten you to just this, what, you know, some of the insurrection stuff, the January 6th committee hearing, but your coverage of stuff, your coverage of ideas and stories, man, what a pleasure to have you on this particular platform.
Well, thank you for having me. You know, as a journalist, I think that makes documentaries, you know, we're just here to try and present the facts in a fair and objective way. So, you know, what I want people to understand that you know, we want people to understand that, you know, these are the events and they can draw their own conclusions. We're here to try and present an objective assessment as possible of these events.
Well, I got to let folks again know, Hell of a Cruise, again, streaming right now on Peacock. I'm telling you, and it's going to pull back, guys, the curtain of a 2-week catastrophic nightmare on board. And I tell you, what a great job, again, Emmy Award-winning director Nich Quested has done. Nich, thanks for doing the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Seems like forever is coming. I can't believe it's happening to me. Wanting to sing, get the song.